One of the biggest things that I think helps us, if we want to be business owners that create businesses that work for our lives, is shedding the employee mindset. The mindset that we might have from being in the corporate world or being employed prior to starting our business, and taking some of that mindset into business with us is what can cause us to build things in the wrong way, to over deliver, to undercharge, to feel like our clients are our bosses and that we have to do everything to please them at the cost of our own enjoyment or sanity or balance. So I think that's a really key thing. And it's not to say that you just disregard everything that your clients want, but it's about having clear boundaries in your business, about approaching your business in a way that allows you to create a life-first business. And that definitely requires the right strategy, but it also requires the right mindset. So today I want to dive into 3 key mindset shifts that really help you as you go into business. So if you're a business owner who's been running your business for a while, and maybe you're seeing some of those behaviors, like you're over people pleasing or you're over delivering and bending over backwards to please your clients, and maybe you're starting to realize that's taking a toll on you, or it's preventing you from building the business that you really want. And maybe you've got this feeling that if you change things, then maybe your clients aren't going to be happy and your business is going to suffer for it. So I want to shift that thinking for you today and help you see it in a different way and help you see why it serves your clients as well as you to approach things in a different way and have that mindset that's going to allow you to create a business that serves your clients amazingly, but also works for you and works for your life. So let's dive in.
Welcome to the Life First Business Design Podcast, where ambitious, purpose-led coaches and creatives trade hustle and burnout for simplicity, freedom, and work that truly lights them up. I'm Leonie, an ex-architect turned business owner, strategist, and coach on a mission to help other women create success on their own terms. Each week, we'll be diving into the strategies, the systems, and the mindset shifts that help you simplify, increase profitability, attract better fit clients, and create more freedom and fulfillment, so you can build a business that supports your life, not consumes it. If your goal is to build something that feels spacious, joyful, and actually fun, you're in the right place. So let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to today's episode. As I said, I'm going to be sharing 3 mindset shifts to help you grow a life first business, to help you approach your business in a way to give you the things that you need from it, the joy, the fulfillment, the balance, the spaciousness, whilst also serving your clients and providing an amazing service, whether you're a coach or a creative. So to give some context, if you're new around here or maybe you haven't heard me talk about this before, my background is that I started my own design and consulting business 7 years ago now. And when I went into that business, I definitely had a lot of that employee mindset. I've got to do an amazing job for my clients. I have to do amazing work. I need to do everything I can to please my clients. And I was almost approaching it as though those clients were my boss and what they needed, I was there to provide. And while there's some truth to that in business, of course, you want happy clients, you want to provide an amazing service. But if you're doing that at the cost of your own well-being or your own mental health, it's really not a good way to build your business. And having boundaries that allow you to build your business in a way that it works for you and your clients is the key to creating something where your clients know what to expect, they're happy, and you also have more flexibility in your time or more clarity over your schedule, clearer communication with your clients, less worry about there being miscommunication or mismatched expectations, and all those things that can cause you stress as a business owner and what can lead to problems in those client relationships. And actually the best thing you can do for your clients as well as yourself is having clarity from the offset on what this relationship looks like with your client, what the delivery looks like, what the expectations around timings, around meetings, around access to you all looks like. And then everyone's on the same page from the outset. And you also have to have the mindset that you respect those boundaries that are put in place, and so does your client. And therefore it's your job as a business owner to enforce those boundaries and to be able to confidently say, when there are those odd occasions that people might be trying to push those boundaries, that you can really clearly say, this is what we've got in place, this is what we agreed from the outset, and just calmly and confidently uphold those boundaries. And it goes without saying that having boundaries with your clients is important, and it's also important to have boundaries with yourself as well, and make sure that you are sticking to those yourself when it comes to the hours you're working or the amount of work you're taking on. And that can be just as difficult sometimes to enforce those boundaries with yourself. So there's a bit of work to be done there. And if you've got to a point in your business where you can see, actually, I'm putting in all the hard work, I'm delivering amazing results for my clients, but it's not rewarding me as much as I hoped it would be. Maybe you're working more hours than you hoped, maybe you're not paying yourself as well as you'd hoped, and you need to recalibrate. And that might be some recalibration in your strategy, but also in your mindset as well. Going back to my story, I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but when I hit a point in my business where I was feeling burnt out, where I was feeling overpushed, and particularly because in the time from starting my business till I reached that point, I had become a mum, I had a young child. I was obviously sleep deprived and putting so much into being a mum and looking after my baby, but also wanting to run my business and wanting to get back into work and thinking, I need to do this differently. I can't be running it the same way that I was before. I also had a health event, a cardiac event that really changed the way I thought about looking after myself, managing my stress, being able to prioritize my health as well as business. And that's when I really needed to redesign things. And I shifted my strategy, but also shifted my mindset. And some of these things I'm going to talk about today were exactly how I realized I needed to think differently. And they made a huge impact on how my business changed from there and became something that was fitting the life that I wanted and allowing me to make the money I wanted, do work that I was enjoying, but do it within the schedule that I had available so that I could still be a mum and still balance everything else in life as well. So the first mindset shift is something I've already touched on. Your clients are not your boss. It's a trap I think it's so easy to fall into because we've been in this dynamic up until starting our businesses where our job is to please whoever's in charge of us. And whether that's a teacher, a professor at university, or a boss in our business, that mindset can really be carried through to our business where we think that their approval is the thing that keeps the lights on. So if they push, we bend. If they're unhappy, we scramble. And no one wants unhappy clients. So of course, it's so understandable to have this mindset and feel like if I don't do everything they want, if I don't bend over backwards, they're not going to be happy clients. And that's not the right way to think about it, because once you've got those boundaries in place, and some of the key ones that I've touched on, which I think are really important, is access to you. So how can they contact you? When can they contact you? It's really important to set that out from the offset. Things like feedback. So if you've got a project-based business or you're a creative service provider, if you're waiting for feedback before you can carry on, then your client needs to clearly understand that's going to impact the timeline. So when you set out a timeline for the work at the beginning of the project, saying to them, I need your feedback within X number of days in order to stick to this timeline. And then that gives you the ability to keep reinforcing that, to remind when you send them something for feedback, I need it by X date, to keep things moving along. Because it's so hard when you're needing to schedule other projects in at the same time, when you want to know when you can start more work, if the scope keeps getting pushed out because it's taking too long to get feedback. So you need to give them reasonable time to do the things they need to do, to assess your work, to think about it, to have those discussions on their end, whilst also feeding that into your program. So that's a really important one. And meetings as well. How many meetings are included in your project scope? How long are they? What does that look like? And what's the knock-on effect to the fee and to the program if more meetings needed to be added in? So those are really important ones if you're a creative service provider. If you're a coach, definitely that access to you between calls. Things like rescheduling calls, how many calls you're willing to reschedule. Because again, if you keep getting containers being pushed out and pushed down, this is a really common problem for coaches. it pushes out everything and it stops you being able to take on more clients, which really is going to affect your profit down the line. So those boundaries are really important. So decide those in advance, get clear on them. Don't expect to have them perfect from the outset. Often we learn from the relationships we have with clients and we can see, I needed to make that clearer near the start. So it's something you always want to be reviewing and seeing where you can make some changes to those boundaries. So before every new client starts, it's a good thing to think about, is there something extra I should be adding in there and making clear from the offset if you've hit a bit of a sticky point with another client in the past. But those boundaries are so important. And then the second mindset shift, which I think is one of the ones that I found most helpful for myself, is thinking of your business as a separate entity, not as an extension of you. And this can be really difficult when you are a solopreneur, when you're delivering a service, you're a personal brand, you feel like your business is you. You feel like your business is an extension of you. And therefore, every decision you're making, you're tying it back to yourself. How would this make me look? What will people think of me if I put this boundary in place or if I make this decision? When you start treating your business as its own entity, something that you're responsible for, you're the guardian of, but it's not something that is you, everything gets a lot calmer and a lot easier to make good decisions and not emotional decisions. Because your question isn't then, will they still like me if I say no? It's, what do I need to do in order to make this business work? What decisions do I need to make to ensure that this works for me and it works for my clients? So having the right boundaries and the right terms, and making decisions that aren't based on your emotions. This is a really tricky one, and it takes time and it takes awareness of where you're making those decisions based on emotions, and particularly for women as well, people pleasing, wanting to be liked. We're so socialized to be amenable and to please everyone else before ourselves, and we really need to break those and see where we're making emotional decisions or when we're thinking of our business as an extension of us, and where a rejection in our business, a client deciding to go with someone else versus you, if that feels like a real personal slight, then that's where you can see that you are feeling like your business is an extension of you. You're not able to see those things just as data and look at, okay, why might that have been? Were they the right client for me? Treating it as data and thinking, how can I take that information? And that's not to say that you should be trying to get every single person to say yes, because the clients that don't want to either pay your prices or go with your boundaries, they're probably not the right clients for you. And particularly then, if we're thinking about your business as an entity, they're not the right clients for your business. So really trying to separate yourself from your business makes a huge difference on how you see the things that are happening, how you make decisions, how you approach what's going on. So that one was a really huge one for me. And then the third mindset shift is something I talk about all the time, and it's key to building a life first business. And it's the fact that you need to be building your business in that overlap between what your clients want and need, but what you want and need as the business owner as well. And I always think of it as like a Venn diagram: your needs and desires as the business owner, your clients' needs and desires, and where those things overlap is where you want to build your business. And this really helps you with decision making. So for instance, if you're thinking about a specific offer you're creating or the way you're delivering your offer, you've got to be thinking, is this way of delivering, is this offer going to be appealing to my ideal client? Is it going to deliver them great results? But equally, am I going to love delivering this? Is it something that's going to feel good for me? Does it suit my schedule? And that's not to say that everything you do in your business is going to feel amazing and feel like the thing you love doing most, but having that awareness of there's different ways I could do this, and what's the way that's going to feel best for me, what's going to suit me and my clients, because doing one or the other is never going to work. If you're only thinking about what your clients want and you're disregarding what you want and not seeing yourself as the boss that gets to decide, and treating those clients as the boss and bending over backwards for them, you might create a business that's great on paper, that's attracting clients, that's making money, But if you feel resentment, burnt out, or unfulfilled, then it's not sustainable and it's not something you're going to want to stick with for very long. Likewise, if you're only thinking about what you want and you're not thinking about your clients and what the market wants, then you might really struggle to create a viable business. So it's really about thinking of that overlap and testing every decision against those two sides of the scales and finding the balance, finding the place where it feels good for both sides as far as possible. So those are three of the mindset shifts that I know have really helped me. They're things that I work on with my clients that I see make a shift for them. And the biggest foundation that helps you with this is having clarity on your overall vision for your business and how it works for your life. When you've got those key pieces of data to make decisions against, how much you need to be charging, how many hours that you want to be working, and you have that clarity in your business plan, it makes it so much easier to then start putting these things in place, putting those boundaries in place, making those decisions on your offers and your pricing and who your ideal client is. So if that's something that you want clarity on yourself, then my free Life First Business Blueprint walks you through exactly how to do that. It comes with a mini training which walks you through exactly how to create that kind of business plan for yourself so that you have that decision-making tool. And that's such a helpful tool to have to see where you need to make shifts and tweaks to your strategy, to your mindset, in order to create something that's really working for you, because you don't want to get to a place where you feel like your business has become this thing that you don't know how to unravel and thinking, I wanted to create something that worked for me, but actually it's feeling harder than even being in a job was. And it can feel really hard to see how can I shift things without completely starting over, or where do I go from here? So this blueprint is designed to help you see, okay, here's where you can make some tweaks, not starting over, but actually just redesigning what you've already built to move it towards that business that really works for you. So I'll include the link to that in the show notes. Download it, watch the training, and it's really going to help you see how to structure your business in a way that it works for you. And then make these key mindset shifts so that you can start running it like a Life First CEO and create an amazing business that you enjoy running and that feels rewarding and that your clients love as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you know another business owner who would find this episode helpful, please do share it with them. And if you've got a couple of seconds there, I would absolutely love it if you could leave a quick rating and a review to help other business owners find this episode as well. Thank you so much for tuning in and sticking around to the end, and I'll catch you again next time. Take care.